Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. It is time for September favorites. So excited about this video. I know I say that all the time, but truly I love favorites videos. They are my favorite videos to film, my favorite videos to watch. And on top of that, it is officially fall, and I love fall makeup as much as I love boots and sweaters. So I've got some really fun stuff to share with you guys. These are all the products that I've been really excited about and loving over the last month, the things I've been using over and over again. And before we jump into it, I want to welcome those of you that are new here. So excited to have so many new faces here. I hope that you'll subscribe before you leave if you haven't yet done that. And let's jump right into the things I've been loving throughout September. All right, so we're going to start off with eyeshadow palettes because I always have an eyeshadow palette favorite, at least one. I actually have a couple of them today. One of them is a repeat. We'll get that out of the way very first. It's the Jackie Aina palette. I am continuing to really enjoy this palette, and I continue to stand by what I said about this thing in my last favorites video, the rave review that I gave it in my 7 looks video as well. This is just such a well done palette. The formulas in here are fantastic. The color story is amazing. I just so enjoyed this palette. I think it's definitely one of her best, and that is saying something, guys, because I love Anastasia's eyeshadow palettes. But another one that I've really been loving, this is probably no surprise, I feel like almost every time I do a 7 looks video with a palette, I fall in love with it, unless it's just not a perfect fit for me. But this one is definitely one that I really fell in love with. It is the So Jaded palette from ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. This was just such a fun palette to play with. I thought the looks that I created in that 7 looks video were very creative for me. They definitely were a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I considered all of them to be wearable. I would actually wear all of those at least on a date night. Probably not on a day-to-day basis, but this is just a really fun palette to play with. Again, it's kind of one of those palettes that's got a lot of color in it, but I consider these to be wearable-ish colors. I mean, some of them are a little bit intimidating, but none of them are so intense or neon or bold to the point where they don't really suit my personality. There are a lot of jewel tones in here, and I'm finding the more I play with color, those are the type of colors that I most feel comfortable wearing, that look the most wearable in my opinion. I would say half of the shadows in here are colorful and half of them are neutrals. So if you're only into neutrals, I think you could probably skip on this one because you probably would not get a lot of use out of 50% of the shades in here. But if you're into a little bit of both, I think this is a great palette. Great formulas. Love ColourPop's formula. It's just a really fun palette. I think if you've had it on your radar, if you don't have similar shades to this in your collection, I think it's a great one to pick up. One quick thing I want to mention though, I did ask you guys in my 7 looks video if you wanted to see me do a detailed review / comparison video on this palette, basically where I go through my other eyeshadow palettes to see if I have any comparables or close dupes in other palettes that I already own. Let me know if you guys are still interested in that video. I've been on the fence about whether or not to do that. I feel like maybe I missed my window and people aren't really interested in that anymore. And I'm just not sure how many of you guys would think that would be helpful. So let me know if you guys are interested in that, because I definitely would be willing to do that if you think that's something that you would enjoy. But really quickly, I want to show you guys one other palette. If you don't have this, or if you just are not buying eyeshadow palettes right now, perhaps you have this palette, because I think this one has quite a few similarities. Now, these are definitely not dupes. This palette, as you will see, is totally different. It's much smaller and has a very different color story, but a lot of the colors in here can be found in here. Hear me out. This is the Makeup Revolution, one of their reloaded palettes. This is the Division version, but I love this palette. This is one of my favorite fall palettes. These are just the type of tones that I crave wearing in the fall. There's every tone in here that I love. A nice, deep, rich yellow and orange. You've got some greens. You've got these kind of purpley burgundy shades. Fantastic browns in here. You even have this sort of cool tone gray in here, which is super fun. I really love the Makeup Revolution matte formula. This palette is like 90% matte. You get 3 shimmer shades in here, which are not the best, but the mattes in here I think make up for it. And the reason that I wanted to kind of compare it to this one is I feel like some of the jewel tones in here are somewhat repeated in here. Not all of them, mind you, but you do get some greens in here. These greens are definitely different than this specific green right here, but also some of the brown tones in here I feel like are somewhat similar. Some of these red and pink tones in here are similar. These peaches, this yellow. You get some similar shades in here. I just think the shades in here are so much fun for fall. Let me just kind of finger swatch a few of these for you guys. This beautiful orange, a yellow, look at that fun green. It's almost like a minty green, but it's a little bit more army than mint, if you know what I mean. I think these are just such fun, beautiful colors on the eyes. Let me swatch these other 2 greens. This lighter one right here is a little bit more of like a army kind of khaki, almost like a grayish green, and then this deep green right here is just so beautiful to put in your crease if you're really going for that green look. You get a perfect basic brown in here, and I love this kind of like plummy purple sort of color. I love these tones for fall. I think they're so beautiful and creative, but still very wearable and kind of earthy and neutral. And I just want to swatch a few from the So Jaded palette kind of next to it. Again, they're definitely different. That one's quite a bit more bold, but you see this one's quite similar to that one. The yellow in So Jaded I think is going to be a little bit more bold, but sorry guys. A little clumsy way of doing that, but you can kind of see this yellow is somewhat similar. This reddish brown is kind of similar to these two colors. So again, these aren't dupes for each other, but you do get some overlap and some similarities. I wanted to mention both of these palettes because I've really been enjoying both of them. They are kind of the palettes that I want to use in the fall. I want to use these kind of tones. And this palette is only $7. I've also mentioned it a few times. There's a chance that some of you may own this palette already. So if you're into jewel tones, maybe you're not in the market for an eyeshadow palette right now, or if you don't like the larger palettes or don't like some of the brighter shades in here, this I think is a good alternative to some fantastic fall colors. And even if you're not someone that changes up your makeup seasonally, I just think the colors in here are so pretty if you're into jewel tones. So moving on from that one, I have a face palette that I am officially putting in a favorites video, and it is the Smashbox Cali Contour palette. I've mentioned this palette a few times over the last several months. I picked this up quite a while ago, and it took me a while to kind of fall in love with this thing, but I did put this in my recent Drop My Stash. I've kind of forced myself to use it repeatedly, and I have officially gotten what the hype is over this palette. This is a great face palette. If you have, I would say, medium to fair skin, I think this is just a great all-in-one, everything that you need kind of face palette. I love the tones of the contour shades in here. This is a fantastic bronzer if I want something a little bit warmer on my cheeks. The blush color in here is perfection, and even the highlight, which I initially thought would be a little bit too dark for me, totally works. The formula of the bronzers and contour shades in here are so incredibly easy to work with. They just blend out so quickly, so easily, so seamlessly. They're not finicky at all. They work on top of any base that I have underneath them. It's a great simple palette. I know people have been talking about this forever, but I feel like I'm officially on the Cali Contour bandwagon. So the next thing that I have really been loving this month is my cream bronzers. I just have really been on the cream bronzer train, and these two right here, the Milk Makeup bronzer is the one I initially wanted to put in my favorites video because I just think this is such a great bronzer. The thing that I think makes this worth the slightly higher price point is the fact that this stuff, if you have trouble with your bronzer or your cheap products wearing off, this stuff really is long wearing. But in my most recent video, I talked to you guys about this as a possible dupe. This is the Wet n Wild contour stick in the color Oaks on You. These products are very similar to each other in the way that they apply and in the color that they are on the skin. I've tried them out side by side. Wear time, I think the Milk one is still a little bit more long wearing. Even though I can see them both by the end of the day, I feel like this one looks a little bit less faded than this one does, but they are awfully close. I swatched these in my last video, but let me go ahead and swatch them for you guys again today. So here's the Wet n Wild one. Here is the Milk bronzer in Baked. I'm actually wearing both of these on my cheeks today. This side I have the Milk one on. This side I have the Wet n Wild one on. I do think there are some subtle differences in the color. I do think the Wet n Wild one is a little bit more warm than the Milk side, which I can see that, but it's pretty subtle. You have to really be looking for it. But I do absolutely recommend them both. I love them both. I use them both regularly. I think they're fantastic products. I would say this, I think if you are someone that's maybe new and trying out cream bronzer, I would maybe try going for the Wet n Wild one first and just see if you like the way that cream bronzer works and looks on your skin. I think for the price, this is a great place to start. And then if you're still loving it, if you absolutely kind of fall in love with cream bronzers, I definitely would recommend splurging for the Milk one if that's something that you're interested in. But I love those both so very much. And I've got to say, you guys, if you really want your bronzer to last, put a little bit of cream bronzer on first and then go on top with just a tiny bit of a powder bronzer. That bronzer will last for days. So moving on, we are just about done. I only have 2 products left. I guess this next one is technically 2 products, so maybe 3. But the next one I want to officially say is a favorite for me is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. So the first thing I want to say that I need you guys to know is that I am someone that doesn't love recommending high-end or especially like luxury makeup products. Honestly, I think this is the only, other than my Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, those are the only 2 what I consider luxury makeup brands or makeup products that I even own. I'm just not someone that loves to buy luxury makeup. I just am personally someone that almost always puts a higher value on price or value of a product over the actual packaging or the quality of a product. So I typically like to recommend things for you guys that are more affordable, because that's just kind of where I am in my life. So I wanted to talk about these two products next to each other today, because I do think after I've tried these out for several months that there is a difference here. I really like this product. I think it's a good alternative, but I definitely think this product is better, and I love this product. That said, this is not the type of thing that I will use every single day. This is definitely a special occasion type of product for me. I do have both of these products on my skin today. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that. That's the highlighter I have on. This side we have the Charlotte Tilbury, and this side is the Milani Soft Focus Glow. Once these have sat on my skin and settled in, they've had some time to just meld with my skin. They're very similar to each other in the way that they look on the skin. But ultimately, the biggest difference in these is the actual product inside and the way that it feels and the way that it applies. So I want to swatch them next to each other so you can maybe see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put a little dollop of the Charlotte Tilbury right here. Sorry, I still have some swatching remnants underneath, but we're just going to go with it. And then this is the Milani Soft Focus Glow. I don't know if you guys caught that coming out of the pump. I don't like the packaging of this. I think it's pretty packaging. The idea behind this packaging is nice, but it gives me a little bit of trouble. Number one, it's hard to control how much you get out. Number two, it tends to kind of dry out in this little tip right here, and you get like a clump that will come out. If you haven't used it for a few days or a week or so, you'll have this hard clump that comes out that you have to kind of get rid of, and then you have to go and take another pump. And also when this one comes out, I'm not sure you're going to catch this on camera, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of separation in the product and the kind of liquid that it's sitting inside of. I'm not sure if that's an oil, what it is, but you can see there's a little bit of separation. I really don't like when my products do that. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine. But in addition to that, these just feel very different from each other. And I think I've said this before when I've talked about the Charlotte Tilbury before. I would recommend going into a Sephora or somewhere if you have a Sephora near you and actually swatching this product and feeling just how creamy and smooth this feels. This is unlike any product I've ever felt before. It just feels like it was $55. I mean, it truly feels luxurious. So there it is right there. It's super smooth and creamy. It's very reflective, but in a very non-glittery sort of way. And then this is the Milani Soft Focus Glow. This one feels a little bit more watery or oily. It just feels a little bit more diluted to me. And I think, as you can see, this one is not nearly as intense as this one. I think once they both settle into your skin, the difference is not quite that dramatic, but I think there is a difference. But the price difference is pretty massive. So that's the biggest thing I would say. It ultimately comes down to, what is your budget? Do you like to splurge on things on occasion? Or do you really like to save money to find drugstore alternatives? If that is you, I think this is a great alternative, but I don't think these are dupes. They're close, but they're not quite dupes. So last two products I want to mention for you guys are two lip products. One of these has been discontinued, and I mainly want to mention this because it is something that I want your guys' help in finding a replacement or an alternative for. The first thing I want to mention, though, before we get to the discontinued product, is this right here. This is the lip product I'm wearing on my lips today. This is from Hank & Henry. I got this in BoxyCharm, I believe, the end of last year. It was probably last fall or last winter. This is the color Petal Pusher. This is one of my favorite fall and wintertime shades. I love the color of this. It's a red without being too red. It's a deep vampy color without being too vampy. It's almost like a nude deep red. That probably makes no sense at all. There's just something about this color that is very wearable for being a very deep lip. Every time I wear this color, I get compliments on it, and ultimately the formula of this stuff is absolute perfection. I swatched this in my Shop My Stash video, and I actually had a couple of you comment on how smooth it looked when I was swatching it, and truly, guys, that is the way that it feels on your lips. I've actually been meaning to pick up a couple more shades from this brand. They're a little bit hard to get a hold of because I think they only sell them on their website, hankandhenry.com, but oh, I just love this color. It's that mix of like every fall color all rolled into one. I can't explain it. It's just such a great bold lip for fall that's not like in your face kind of bold. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, this is a liquid lipstick. This does dry down and stay in place all day, but it's not overly drying. I just love this stuff. Every fall and winter I get excited to pull this out and wear it again. Last thing to mention for you guys is this little guy right here. I have had this for probably 2 years now. It's probably expired, but it seems to still smell fine, and I love this product. This is the Maybelline Baby Lips. I don't think they make these anymore. This one specifically is in the color Toasted Taupe. This is such a great lip product to have when you're wearing something else that needs to be lightened up a little bit, or to wear with just a darker lip liner. Let me try and swatch it for you guys next to this other one. It's just a very, it almost doesn't even show up. It's a very nude kind of peach. It's slightly sheer. It's almost like a balm, but it does such a good job of just adding a little bit of lightness to the inner portion of your lips to kind of add some dimension. It adds this beautiful shine. It's super comfortable. The smell, it smells like the most delicious vanilla cake in the world. I'm going to try and add a little bit to my lips. I hope it doesn't ruin this lip color. I haven't tried this on top of a liquid lipstick, especially not one this deep. So I don't know if you guys can tell. See how it gives just a little bit of lightness, a little bit of shine to the inner part of your lips. But if you guys know of an alternative to this, this is kind of like a sheer peachy, milky pink. It's comfortable. It smells amazing. Let me know if you guys have seen something like this, because I definitely feel like I need to find a replacement for this product, because I've been using this thing. It sits inside my purse all the time, and I'm almost hoping that maybe one of you out there will tell me, hey Mandy, they actually reformulated that, put it in better packaging, and now you can buy it as this. I don't think that's true, but I would love if that was true, because I love this thing. It's so great. All right, you guys, so that is it for my favorite products from the month of September. As always, I would love to know what kind of things have you guys been loving this last month? What makeup products have you been reaching for and enjoying the most? Let us know in the comments down below. I always love hearing that from you guys. Also, of course, if you've tried any of these products, let us know your thoughts on them down below. I think that's always helpful, because I am just one person. This is just my opinion. I think it's always helpful to get more opinions if we can. Thank you guys so much for stopping by my channel today, for watching this video. And again, special welcome to those of you that are new. I really hope that you guys are enjoying my channel so far. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys again. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I hope that you're having a great start to your fall, if it's fall where you live, or maybe you're anticipating spring. Either way, hope that you guys have a good one, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye. What's this hair doing? Where are you going? I think a bobby pin is the answer for this guy today. Let's just tuck you under here. There you go. Bobby pins. Time out for stray hairs. Whoa, forgot to breathe. I don't know how to hold these and point. I need a third hand. Hair is wild. Like a lion today.